Daughter Chana, the Robert Shmuley podcast. Do men need to feel desired? Do women? Kosher sex in the age of coronavirus. And you want to find out more, go to kosher.sex. So here's something interesting. Hi, everybody. Chana got to come into this shot as well. So my friend Dennis Prager, I'm sitting here at the computer last night, and my friend Dennis Prager calls me up, and he says to me, Shmuley, Sue and I, his wife Sue, and we were watching your conversations with your daughter Chana about relationships and sexuality and some of your spiritual conversations with your other daughter, Rachalea. Yeah, you see, I'm a very multifaceted human being. So each one of my kids got one of my facets. So my daughter Rachalea got the Thirsty Souls, Thirsty Souls Kosher Sex. Sorry, Thirsty Souls spiritual side. My son Mendy, and
I got the smut.
No, one second, and my son Yosef got my love of cycling. All my kids have outdone me, by the way, because Yosef cycled all across America at the age of 16. Chana, come more into the shot.
Okay, you got
but Chana got the kosher sex side. Yeah, you got this. Don't say smut. No, you got the intimacy,
joke, of course. It's
relationship.
Like
yeah, the relationship side. You got that. So, but interestingly, so my friend Dennis Prager calls me, and he was talking about it on the air today, on his show, and he invited me onto the show, and whoever heard it, if you heard it, you heard it. So Chana, and I told Chana, people need to hear more about this, especially with the coronavirus, because firstly, they need a distraction. Secondly, they need a healthy distraction. This isn't Netflix. I wish it was. Then we'd be set for like 50 generations. It's not Netflix, and it's not Amazon Prime. It's actually something very substantive about relationships, sexuality, intimacy, marriage. And I think a lot of marriages are actually suffering right now. First of all, people are afraid. Fear kills the libido. People are anxious. That kills the libido. People are uncertain. Money problems kills the libido. I mean, I could go on. The libido for married couples is under severe strain right now. So you chose this subject of do men need to feel desired, do women need to feel desired? So take it from here, Chana, creator of Kosher Sex, kosher.sex.
Well, no, one of the main reasons that I got involved in this company is not just because I felt like it was a family heirloom, but because I think sexuality is fascinating. I think it's, as much as we know about it, it's just the tip of the iceberg. That was a joke.
Okay, no pun intended. God almighty. Oh,
but
okay.
Because it's actually still so mysterious, like how different people can be when it comes to, what prompts their sexuality, or what interests they have, or what attracts them, or what turns them on. And even the depths of what, people can say all they want that, like when it comes to casual sex and everything, that it means nothing and that it's just an animal instinct, but the level of trauma that someone can feel from like we're seeing with sexual abuse. But I think it's something that's deeply, deeply, yes, it's part of our nature, but we have yet to really, truly understand it. So I actually uploaded an article by Dr. Steven Snyder, who wrote a book that's really good. And
who the hell is he? Who the hell is he compared to me?
Whatever, we have to have
my books are
we gotta
okay.
We gotta have some variety.
Okay, right. Dr. Steven Snyder. The book is called what?
So he wrote this article.
Don't touch your face. God, I can't touch your face. Okay, go on. Yep.
Did I touch my face?
No, I just did.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. So.
But I washed my hands, so it's okay. Go ahead.
He wrote this article. Sorry, we're having little audio issues. That's why my things, I can't keep
word on one ear.
So so he wrote this article about, do men need to feel desired? And I really wanted to touch on that subject because as far as I can see, and from what I've learned just in society and from wherever, there's so much emphasis on women wanting to feel desired, and that, like, it's almost detrimental to our sexuality, to women's sexuality, that they talk so much about, we've learned what it is like as a response to men, that like most of women's sexuality has been seen as desire. Like women want to feel desired and it turns them on to be desired. And that a lot of, I think, female sexuality is a response to how men will look at us and treat us. And I want to know if that's true. And I think it's interesting to see if that's true of men. Are men usually the ones desiring and then women need to feel desired, or can it go both ways? And do men want to feel desired? So I just want to touch on that.
Well, you know what? Let's
Does that make
extrapolate
sense
from
what I
women.
said?
Yeah, of course it does. Let's start with the
Yeah,
women, then go to the men. Look, we know women want to feel desired because to be desired is to like have a magnet inside you that draws people to you. It means that you're attractive. It means that you're special. You're unique. I've always said that. I think what a woman most wants is to be chosen. And how could I, a man, know what a woman wants? Because I'm a man who's deeply in touch with his feminine side. So I've always said
uh-huh.
that a woman wants to be like the Shabbos. You know, the Sabbath is the day where we put the important before the urgent. The weekdays are where we put the urgent before the important. We all know it's important: our kids, our family, our communities. But we're making money and we're doing our careers. But you know, in the age of coronavirus, we're reminded what's important, because lives are what's important, and the terrible news of the death toll every day and people being infected and just trying to stay healthy. So we know it's important. It's just that we so often don't have the time, given all the pressures of life, to focus on it. So I always say a woman wants to be like the Shabbos. If you're desirable, someone is prepared to forego all the urgent things in order to focus on the important. You are important. That's desire. And I've also said, in my opinion, desire is much more important a component in a relationship than communication and shared values. It's attraction. It's the ability to just be passive and someone is drawn to you. That's desire. So now you flip it and you say, do men want to be desired? And of course, Chana, the number one reason that men cheat on their spouses is not for sex. 60% or more of all affairs, husbands' affairs, they're virtual affairs. There's no sex. I mean, I don't know, maybe there's sexting and stuff like that, but the couple doesn't even meet. It's that someone makes you feel desirable. A lot of men have very low self-esteem. You know, I wrote this in the book, An American Male. They compare themselves to their friends who are making more money or climbing the social ladder or the career ladder more quickly, and they feel like they're failures. And all of a sudden, some other woman comes along and makes them feel like they're $1 million.
But would you say that's an element, like a smaller, like a weaker element of their sexuality as opposed to women? Is it more prevalent in women? Because I like what you're saying about being chosen. I think that's key because everyone wants to feel chosen. But to me, I take issue with that a little bit just because you're saying that women are not as active. We're kind of passive and waiting for someone to choose us instead of doing that ourselves.
Okay, well, you know what? That raises another subject as to whether there's gender bias and gender prejudice and how we judge relationships. For example, can a woman go and ask a man to marry her? The answer is, of course, she can, and yet, even in this liberated age, women still seem to want to be asked. I'm amazed that the nature of egalitarianism, where women and men say they're equal and want to be equal, women still want the guy to get on his knee and pull out a ring. I don't know a lot of women who get on their knee and pull out a ring. Like, you should say maybe it should be like that, but it isn't like that. And that's either because of some kind of social prejudice or it's because of something more deeply wired. I don't know. What I do know is what I do know is that I don't think that we're saying women are passive in their desire to be desired. I just think, but a woman does want to be noticed by the man that loves her. She doesn't want to be overlooked. What's the joke that Mae West said? A woman wants to be looked over and not overlooked. I think women don't want to feel invisible in their relationships. I think that's where they experience a lot of pain. Now, let's flip
You
it.
think more so than men, though?
Well,
Because maybe that's the issue. Maybe we've made male sexuality and female, and I do believe they're different, but maybe we've made them so different that men and women in some ways are not getting what they really need, and that's why there's such a breakdown. Because
well, it
women
could.
understand their sexuality in terms of being desired, and men understand their sexuality in terms of like being the more active one and being more pursuant. Which yeah, it could be that's their nature, but I think there has to be a balance of both.
Well, it could be. It could be that there's different kinds of attraction for each of the genders. So I'm not the first person to say that women are. You may find this a little bit offensive, and that's okay. Then tell me. But I'm not the
I'm
first
waiting for
person
it.
to say that women are attractive in a more passive state, insofar as our society has not yet fully appreciated the accomplished woman, the intelligent, highly uh, successful woman. And by success, I don't mean money. I mean a woman who makes a difference in her community, makes a difference in the world. Where women are still kind of judged by their beauty. So in other words, she'll be sitting there across a restaurant, and because she looks great, men will be drawn to her, and they'll be thinking up some pickup line in order to break the ice. Now, is that a good thing? No, not necessarily. It is what it is for the most part. I'm not saying it's a good thing that this is what is. Whereas men are much more attractive not in their passivity, but they're in their activity. Just because a guy is sitting at a restaurant, I'm not sure a woman's going to go over and be attracted to him. She might find him handsome, she might find him sexy or cute, as women love to say, but I'm not sure that means that she's going to go and talk to him. But if she hears that he's very successful, if she hears that he's, I don't know, wealthy, etc., or he's funny and has a great personality, or if she sees him with his interacting with his friends and he's kind of the leader of the pack, she may be drawn to him. So, is that a good thing on both sides? No, it's probably pretty superficial and shallow on both sides, that men are still drawn to a woman's beauty and more than her brain, more than her emotions, more than her accomplishments, and women are still drawn to a man's money, a man's career. Women love the man with a plan. Now, an evolutionary biologist would say, no, 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 this is exactly the way it's supposed to be. Because in evolution, the woman is drawn to a man who can support her offspring. Remember, evolution is all about the survival of the genes. And the
Mm.
genes need to be passed from generation to generation. So a woman is going to be naturally drawn to the leader of the pack, the best provider, etc. And conversely, evolution would say that the man is going to be drawn to a woman who's the prettiest, who has the most, whose hips are the widest, because it means that she could have the
Yeah.
most children and that. Now, I hate those kinds of explanations because they reduced our humanity to being animals. We're just a bunch of animals. But in evolution, we say that's true. But we're religious, and
Well,
even if
even okay, so to pepper this with a little Torah, after Adam and Eve sin, one of Eve's punishments is that she's going to desire her husband. So why is it seen as a punishment?
that's a good question. It sounds
Because because I the way I see it, it's a much more imprisoning role because you have to wait on it and you can't be active about it.
I think it. In other words, I think the curse was that she would find her validation in her husband's attention. Right? Is that what it means? Elishech tishukasech. You will yearn for your husband's validation. You will look to him. In other words, is there? Let me ask you this. And again, you
No,
know
that's
what?
what
We
I'm
should get we
saying.
should
That
get rid of taboos and
that
so
it's
far. We
that
should be able to talk about anything.
you have to wait on it. That women like the way like women are not going to be as active, and if they see someone they're attracted to, they're just going to wait it out and see what, and they're not going to be the pursuer.
Okay, but that could be a cultural thing that women
No,
are
but I'm saying
still.
I see it.
Is it nature or
uh,
nurture? Is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm connecting it as nature because that was her
Oh, okay,
curse.
okay.
That women's sexuality was kind of suppressed in a way,
Well, do
and
women
that it's now it became a curse that our sexuality is based
on
and
the validation
dependent.
of a man,
It's dependent and it's expressed in our
attractiveness to men?
yes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this: is there a woman, let's say a wife, a married woman, is there a woman on earth who can put on makeup after going to the gym a bunch of days, looking great, feeling great? Is there a woman on earth who could be beautiful and look amazing if a man doesn't find her to be that way, if she lived on an island and that would be enough? Or would she require the validation of some man being drawn to her, even in a very innocent way, and saying to her, wow, wow, you've been losing weight, or you've been working out, you look amazing? Would she need that validation of a male compliment? Or would she be able to compliment herself?
But I don't think that's based. I don't think that's.
Now, first, before we say if it's nature or nurture, just
I'm
what's
not
the
even talking about
answer?
nature and nurture. I don't
What's
think
the
that
answer,
that's
though?
something that's exclusive to women.
Oh, you think that a man would need that too?
Yeah, of course. I think
Yeah.
they need it more than a
Yeah,
woman.
so do I. I think men are more insecure than women.
So do I.
I mean, look at us. It doesn't apply to us because you're much more insecure than I am. I'm like a rock. I'm basically a man with no insecurities, speaking from his heart, who doesn't care what anyone thinks
That's where I get it
because I know because I'm so rock stable.
from. Good one.
But Chana,
But
what if it's a blessing? You know what? What if what you say is the curse that God gave to Eve, El Ishech Tishukasech, you will yearn for your husband's, call it approval, validation, you will want your husband to be drawn to you. What if we what if all of those curses in the book of Genesis, because God ultimately is compassionate, what if they're really blessings? For example, what if it's good that there's a mutuality and interconnectivity between humanity, that we kind of need each other? I don't mean where you become desperate for attention. That's a curse, clearly. Where you only, women who degrade themselves to men are those women who can't say no, right? They just need a guy to want them, even if they kind of know the guy only wants them for one thing, or is gonna be manipulative, or
Yeah.
God forbid, even abusive. That's a curse. But let's say it's in the middle. What if a woman's desire for a man's validation and vice versa is actually a blessing? It means that the sexes need each other, gravitate toward one another. Look at the coronavirus thing.
If it were expressed as mutual, then I would agree with that. But I think that it's been exploited for women, and that's why this whole new movement of like female empowerment, I think is not just important, but it's really interesting because I think women got a little bit sick of waiting around for men. Like, you know that quote that you have it in Kosher Sex about marriage is the something of the inattention, the exchanging the attention of many men for the inattention of one.
Yep. That was
So
Helen Rowland, I believe. Yep.
yeah, I think so.
Marriage is whereby a woman exchanges the attention of many men for the inattention of one.
Yeah, but I think it got so bad that to a point that the balance was so off that women felt the need to start just doing this for themselves. And that's why when I had this shop in New York, which is now closed, obviously, but even when people ask me that Kosher Sex were so focused on couples, I think you're a little bit more focused on couples, and I still really want to spread this message even for women who are single, that their sexuality should be something that they own, so that they can feel empowered in their relationship and not be as dependent on a man to feel. Yes, there has to be
You
some
mean
dependence,
you
but it
mean
has to
you
be
mean for
mutual. I
okay.
think it has to be mutual.
Okay, well, take the coronavirus, the draconian social distancing that is necessary to keep people alive right now. Look how painful people are finding it. Look how hard they're finding it to separate. You would think that after a life lived communally, all of us, take a city like New York City, everyone's living on top of each other. I mean, quite literally stacked in floor after floor on top of each other.
Yeah.
That you would think that if they said, hey, you know what, here you get a month where not only do you not have to socialize, you don't have to think about, oh my God, which party do I have to go to, and which friend haven't I seen recently, and which double dating do we have to go with to which restaurant. Not only do you not have to do that for a month or even 2 months, you're not allowed to do that for 2 months, and people still find it so difficult. Why? Because I think we are social creatures. What if there's a blessing in that? Not now, because people will die, God forbid. And I absolutely believe that social distancing works, even if it's so painful. But Chana, it's painful because people do find validation communally and socially and in marriage and in relationships. So I don't want to take it to an extreme. I don't believe in extremes.
I don't believe in extreme either. I'm just saying that
But what
it
you
should
seem to
be
be
more
saying,
balanced.
so what you're
And you do
saying,
believe in extreme. Well, you don't. Maybe you don't. But there is an extreme right now. I think women have that extreme that our sexuality has been
exploited
in a way that we have to.
Yeah.
It's catered to men, and we're made to feel that it's only expressed when
a man wants you. Yeah. Well, look. I claim a bit of a prophetic status here. I mean, not literally, although I am a prophet, and if you want to talk to God, just give me a call. No, I claim a bit of a prophetic status here, because Chana, of all the books I've written, interestingly today, Dennis Prager asked me if I knew all the names of my kids in order, and I tried to say on 9 of you really quick. I think I missed someone anyway. But then he asked me if I could name my 33 books, and I can't. I mean, if I was given the time, I can't automatically. But there are some books I'm more proud of, and some books that I'm less proud of. Like with my kids, there's some of you I'm more proud of, and some of you I love more, some of you love less. Oh, God forbid, God forbid. But with the books, there are some books I'm more proud of that I think are more relevant, and one of them, this prophetic status, is my book Hating Women that I published in 2006, I think, where I basically everything that you're saying about how women are being exploited, degraded. I said that back in 2006, well before the Me Too thing, well before exploitation became something that the media focused on, because women's bodies were being used to sell cans of beer. Women's bodies were being used to sell cars in television commercials. I mean, even the fact that in sports, and now we're focused on this, there's no basketball now, professional, and there's no football. Oh, sorry, the football season may go. But think about this. Here you have guys, these big, tall guys shooting baskets or dunking the ball, or big, strong guys who are throwing long touchdowns. You know what the women do? Quite literally, professionally. They're paid. They jump up and down a lycra. I mean, it's still bizarre. There's a lot of weird things. The women cheer the guys with pom-poms. Okay, we did take it to an extreme of women being commodified, objectified, sexualized, degraded. And I know that the reaction on the part of some can be, let's go to the opposite extreme. And maybe we do have to go to the opposite extreme for a time. My mom already said the only way to correct an extreme is to go to the opposite extreme for a limited period until you go back to the healthy middle. But the purpose is to get back to the healthy middle, where women are not dependent on men, begging them for their attention, and not independent of men, saying, women need men like fish need a bicycle, like the famous 1915 feminist motto, but interdependence, that women, sure, you do get some validation from a man, but not all your validation. In the same way, men get some validation from a woman, but not all their validation. Part of our validation has to come from our relationship with God. I have to know that I'm good with God, especially during the coronavirus, not because, God forbid, I believe the coronavirus is a punishment. I hate people that say that, but rather because I believe there are some values lessons that we have to imbibe during this painful time of global mourning. So I have to be good with God. I have to be good with my wife. I have to be good with my kids, all of you. I have to be good with all of you, having a wholesome message. I could get on and speak nonsense and just try to distract you guys with, I don't know, with funny memes. Unfortunately, that's not my talent. But even if it were, would that be socially responsible? But the point is, there is an interconnectedness, and I think it's, the famous thing with King David and Jonathan. So Saul is the king, but he hates David, his son-in-law, who's married to Michal, his wife, because he knows that David is his rival. But Jonathan is the crown prince, and he loves David, his brother-in-law, and he doesn't want him hurt. So he tells him, you better flee because my father wants to kill you, and tomorrow is the beginning of the month. And everyone comes to the king's table to sit and have the new month meal, the Rosh Chodesh meal with the king. And he says, Machar Chodesh, tomorrow is the new moon, V'nifkadata, and you will be remembered, David, ki paked moshevacha, because you're going to be missing. You will be remembered because you'll be missing. I love that concept. You'll be remembered through your absence. I think the absence of human company now, in the time of the coronavirus, that we can't even just go to a park and laugh and have our kids play in a playground because people can get sick from each other. That's the second most painful thing happening. The most painful is seeing the deaths. That's the most painful. The morgues, and it's too much to even process or absorb. But the second most painful thing is the social distancing. So there is an interconnectedness, don't you think? You're complaining to me all the time, being bottled up here, even with a family that you love, thank God, and a father that you worship. I got a laugh out of my daughter for that.
I was laughing about what you said. I don't complain all the time.
You complain all the time.
Yeah, it's hard.
Okay, you only complain 99% of the time. It's not all the time. That was being unfair.
I'm getting used to it.
I shouldn't have said that. But you want the validation of friends.
I'm not saying validation is bad. I'm just saying that when it comes to female sexuality, especially when women are always told that it's more, we want to feel desired more, I think it's a very limited understanding.
Okay, I don't believe that. I don't believe that women want to be desired more.
But you say they want to be chosen. That's basically all.
I think the guys also want to be chosen. It's just that I think men.
So everyone wants
it's
to be
just that I
chosen.
think women have a healthier idea of chosen. For them, chosenness happens in a relationship. For a man, I think chosenness still happens in a career. I think men are more shallow in that respect. I actually think women are ahead of the curve but they're making the mistake of copying the men. In other words, we all want to be chosen. We all want to be special. The question is, how are you going to feel special in life? Are you going to be special because your kids look up to you, and they, like they worship at your feet, which is pretty cool. Again, that was a joke. Or are you going to be chosen because my daughter's even ignoring me and like laughing at you guys?
I spaced out for a second.
Or are you going to be chosen because you got a lot of money and you're on the cover of Forbes? What's going to make you feel chosen? Through being a human doing what you do, or a human being, which is actually an expression I think I got from another author years and years ago. But I love that. We're all going to be chosen. We want to be chosen. It's either through what you do or through human doing or human being. What was the funny comment?
No, somewhere up there. Hold on.
Read what Vilma wrote.
Self-validation is a good thing. I claim my own sexuality. I love me. And I'm smart and charismatic. It took me a long time to feel comfortable with my body. But now I take care of myself because I'm a holy vessel and I want to shine from the inside out.
That's beautiful. Oh, well said.
Woo.
Well, Vilma, Vilma, I really appreciate your honesty. I never had that issue of having to feel comfortable or grow comfortable with my body because God made this is like a basic instrument of masculine perfection, and it was from the time that God made it. I mean, 5'5" with a paunch is really kind of the in thing for women, isn't it, Hannah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I'm looking for.
What else do we see?
No, but that's what I'm
By
saying.
the way,
I think
all
even when
women
it
end up
comes,
marrying a guy who's just like their father. They always try to avoid it, but it always happens. Actually,
actually,
your
yeah,
sister,
all my sisters
but they
did the
didn't.
exact
They did
opposite.
exactly. I'm
Yes.
happy they did. You know that I was.
Okay, but
That's true.
what I'm saying is, I think even when it comes to sex between couples, and you always say there's a sex famine. I think if
Yeah, there
women
is.
were to
Right.
take more of an active role as opposed to being desired, I think that might help. I have no idea. Maybe
By the
because
way, I
whatever's
see.
happening now is
I see the great God Elbaz is watching. God, and his name is
that's
God,
cool.
not G-O-D. He's not God. He's God, G-A-D. One of the world's greatest Jewish singers and performers, and he sang
He's
at our
requesting.
daughter's
Get him in here.
view. How do we? How do we do this? I wish. What does that mean? He can join us now?
I didn't even know you could do that. I don't know if
God, I
you
don't
can.
know what I just did. Did you just like?
Oh, there he
Oh
is.
my God! I wish. Hey God, how are you? I
What's
want my
up?
wait. How are you? But I want my fans on Facebook to see you. This is one of the world's greatest Jewish singers and performers. He's brought so much joy into my life. Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimloch, Liolam Va'ed. Yeah.
I was like in the middle of this. Who's sitting next to you, first of all? So I know.
I don't know who this woman is. She's a total stranger.
It came out of nowhere.
This is my
Your daughter?
this is
Toilet
my
paper.
this is my daughter Hannah. She lives in Jerusalem. She's with us during this terrible pandemic, which is
Oh my
very
God.
comforting for her parents and imprisoning for her.
With her dad talking a subject like that, I'm so sorry, but it is.
So am I.
It's like so embarrassing.
Well, you
Seriously.
know what?
It's rough.
She's the one who has. They think that rabbis have all these social stigmas.
I don't make any
It's the
eye
exact
contact. I
opposite.
just stare
Exact
straight into
opposite.
the
I wrote
screen.
Kosher Sex. Chana sells many sexual products in kosher.sex, God, and I have no issue with it at all because I don't think that sex is something dirty or something to be
Yeah,
ashamed of.
I know.
I think
I'm
what the
fine
Torah
with
says,
it.
sex is knowledge.
But I don't understand how you can talk to your daughter. I was like watching it and saying, "Wait, please, God, it's his wife."
Uh,
Ew, what?
Well, I'll tell you,
That was weirder than us even talking about.
no, but you're making.
this.
No,
Listen,
he can listen. Your father is really a hottie rabbi. He can get a girl in your age. Just saying.
Okay, we're getting into. Don't
5
feed
foot.
his ego.
No, 5'5" with a giant paunch. I don't think so. But I will say, God,
He has the
no.
most
But I will
beautiful
say,
woman in the world.
but I will say that
Come on.
if you think this is awkward, Chana runs kosher.sex, and there are modest
There is
looking
such a thing?
kosher.sex. Go to the website, you'll see. And there are and let me tell you,
He's loud.
kosher
Oh my
sex
God.
kosher
That's
sex
so
is now
cool.
kosher sex is going to be manufacturing, quite literally manufacturing 4 products. They'll be out in probably 7-8 months. 4 products.
You have a lot of jokes, by the way.
And
like,
my
like-
daughter and I go to the
like, runs in
meetings
the family.
together.
It's so cool.
My daughter and I go to the meetings together in we go to the meetings together in Boston where these products are designed.
I know, but
You
that's-
sit with the
that's
designers,
next
and
level.
she is like mortified,
It's-
and I
that's too
am
much.
cool as a cucumber. I am cool
I'm actually
as a
I'm
cucumber.
banned from those meetings. You can't come.
So you're going to like in Vegas, there is like I don't know, like it's called what's the name like
That big
everybody goes
show,
to-
that big giant show they
Like
have.
big show. So this is like a show for that.
No. I mean, they have shows,
supposed to
but
talk
no.
all the time.
This one is there's a manufacturer, and they do all the products that's carried by Walmart, the intimate products carried by and they want to create a kosher sex line, and Chana's in charge of the line, but I'm the advisor, so I get to come to the meetings, and she's like mortified that her father's there. Tough. Too bad.
That's so cool. Listen, you are the coolest father in the world, besides being a rabbi, and I know you for years. I know from Miami 15 years ago, 16 years ago, before that book even came to the light, and I know you many, many years, and I appreciate everything you do. I just want to tell you that I extremely love people with open mind. People need, in the kosher world, to know how to treat their wife, what needs to be done, how much it's important to have kosher intimacy. And I truly, when people told me that, you are a revolutionary. And that's what I did in music. People was against me, taking the Jewish world, making it modern, making rap, being non-religious, making duets. Rabbis were against me. Same, like the Rambam, like David the King, like whoever changed and tried to adjust and be more appealing to the generation. So you do the same, and it's beautiful. And as a kosher Jewish boy, I can tell you, I never read your books because I think I'm fine. But
you can always learn
really
more.
I would love to learn more.
Everyone
but
comes
I really,
eventually.
really appreciate, and I think the more orthodox you are, the more you're losing a lot of things that God didn't even meant, and like you people taking it to the extreme when they can actually need to understand they need to and must make their wife happy and shalom bayit and united and
and part of that happiness is sexual fulfillment and the Torah. What people don't realize, they think that
you said it easy. I was trying to walk between the waters, so I like the way you said
no,
it.
They think that religious Jews are prudes, right? And yet no one realizes we're the only religion in the world that at the wedding canopy, at the wedding ceremony, and you honored us, God, by singing at our daughter Shayna's wedding, and you brought joy to everyone there. And I'm eternally grateful to you because a man never forgets his children's wedding. And I look forward to Hannah's wedding very soon, God willing, and maybe we'll have the honor of you singing there as well.
How old are you?
No, I'm not getting married though. Why are you saying?
Well, you should get married.
How old are you, may I ask?
I'm 29.
I'm Israeli, so we always ask that.
I don't care. I'm 29.
She's 29 and she's Israeli.
Oh. Nice.
Chana lives in Jerusalem. Chana runs a kosher sex store in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, but she's here now because of the coronavirus. And she opened a new store, a kosher sex store in New York. It was a pop-up. Now it had to close because of the virus. But fear not, because God willing, this too shall pass, and the virus is going to pass. But kosher sex is here forever, right, Chana?
Yeah, kosher sex store in every city. That's the goal.
That's the cool, because today it's actually kosher sex because everybody's in together with their siblings in the home. And it cannot be non-kosher. There's no more sins around the world in general. So
it's funny you say that, because the New York Times did a story 2 days ago. I sent it to Chana. And the New York Times sex columnist was giving people advice about sex in the age of corona. And it was the first time I saw the New York Times basically say you should only have kosher sex. They said, don't have any sex without your either spouse or your significant other. Don't even kiss anyone. Don't touch anyone. And it was almost like a rabbi was writing it. Now, I don't want to have a global pandemic to get people to practice monogamy exclusivity. I would get rid of this disgusting pandemic and keep everybody alive. But the exclusivity and the passion of a monogamous relationship, where you have to find new technique, new sexual technique, new sexual creativity, new sexual imagination. Because you see, one of the reasons we become so bad in bed and such boring lovers is that whenever we get bored in sex, we just go to a new partner. We end the relationship, go to the new partner, or we have a one-night stand. But in monogamy, if you really want to keep the sexual flame alive, you have to come up with many new ideas, many new positions, practices. And that's the power of what Chana created with Kosher Sex, because she gives you all these incredible ideas. Because God, keeping the passion alive in a marriage is the very soul of the relationship. If things don't work well in the bedroom, they're not going to work well in the living room or the kitchen either. If a couple's sex life has functionally died, then the marriage is functionally terminated. Your lover is not just best friends.
Trust me, I was married for 16 years. I know what you're talking about. I got divorced, unfortunately, but sometimes our things are behind our, not in our control. And I do believe that intimacy and the level of being open with your spouse is one of the most important things in marriage. Baruch Hashem, I had that. That's not one of my reasons, because I'm an artist and I travel and everything around it. There is like this distance between the couple. But I do agree with you on every single matter, and I know when I'm going to be married again.
God willing, you'll be married again. But you know what, God? In this time where people are really in mourning and in pain and filled with fear, your music. You know, my grandchildren play your music all the time for all of us. And you are, even without you knowing it, because this is recorded music, you are uplifting so many people and giving them joy. And that's a big bracha, and God will reward you for it. Because there's no joy like sexual joy in marriage. There's no joy like music, even outside of marriage. You can have kosher music even if you're not married. So, God, thank you for joining us. And I do want to thank you again. Yes, please.
Because you're Chabadska and I'm a Chabadska, I want to share with you one last thing. I started today the 12 Sukkim Challenge.
Oh.
And I challenged Benny Friedman, and I did Torah with kids, Siva, and after that, I challenged him to do the next Pasuk. Because I do believe that our children's voice can heal the world.
Yes.
Like the rabbi said, bring Ruka and everything around it. So I'm doing a mega concert live online, on April 13th, and we're gonna have
April 13th online. Send me the
entire world. We'll sing it together.
Okay, so I'll tell you what. Send me. You know my email. You can also send it to info@shmuley.com. Please send me the link, and we'll put it up immediately so that everyone joins in. I'm going to join in, God willing, and I greatly look forward to it. And God, thank you very much.
Kids or your grandkids, whatever you want.
No, all of us. Our whole family loves you.
Challenge someone. Challenge someone that from your family that you know that's
I can challenge Hannah right now.
No,
do one of the 12 sukkah.
Challenge men.
You can do Shema Yisrael.
No,
you can do
just choose the one next to it.
Which one?
Torah Tziva.
That means I
did
Benny
say
Friedman.
Right now, yeah.
Torah Tziva.
I did Torah Tziva to Benny Friedman. Sorry, I did Torah Tziva. He did Shema.
Okay, so I'll do Kikara Velecha Davar Ma'od Beficha Levavcha La'asoso. The Torah is very close to you in your heart.
Nice.
To actually fulfill it, to execute it, to carry it out.
I didn't know you had such a beautiful daughter, man.
Thank you very much. Hey, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. When you got a father who's like a flippin' world-class, perfect masculine specimen, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Oh my God, how do you deal with that?
I actually look just like my dad.
Anyway, well, hopefully not too much. I hope you look more like your mom. Anyway, God, Shabbat Shalom, and thank you very much. Send me the link, and thank you for your beautiful music, and thank you for your friendship to me and to my family, and for making my daughter Shayna's wedding so unforgettable with your music.
Amen. Okay. To all your daughters and everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Okay. No, I didn't want to end. Okay, so guys, we're gonna go to kosher.sex, see the amazing things that Chana's created, great ideas for you to impassion your marriage, and I think we covered a lot of it, right? About men and women feeling desirable. We haven't solved everything, but I'd rather we leave some room for thought on the part of the viewers, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. You have any final parting thoughts?
Nope.
Want to wish everybody a good Shabbos?
Yeah. What? I don't even know what day it is. Is it Thursday?
Thursday night.
Okay. So yeah, Shabbat Shalom.
It's amazing. We've lost sense of time.
What day it is.
Oh, when Mashiach comes, we're going to be above time. Maybe you're like living in your Yemos Mashiach. But for us to live in Yemos Mashiach, there can't be death and there can't be suffering. So, God willing, God will banish this coronavirus from the earth. And interestingly, one little Dvar Torah, Chana. This is Shabbos HaGadol, where God, the Jews put the blood on their doorposts in Egypt, and God, the avenging angel, passed over with a plague. So I hope that every human on earth, with the exception of the truly wicked and evil, I hope that the coronavirus passes over them and doesn't afflict them. Yeah, I hope that the coronavirus, if it's going to attack, will only attack mass murderers, genocidaires, terrorists, killers, but all of 99.9% of the earth's inhabitants are very innocent people, and God should protect them, and God should protect you and your family. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We miss you. Shabbat Shalom. And have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbat and a very peaceful weekend. I'll be speaking to you tomorrow. I don't know if Hannah will be joining me.
I will not.
But God bless you guys.
See ya.
Okay.